So for starters, how do you feel right now? How do you feel right now? How do you feel right now? Just in general.
Feel good.
Good?
Just pretty normal.
Scared. Shit's kind of in between for me right now.
It's going great, yeah. It's going actually pretty good. The spring break's coming up too. I'm excited for that.
Either I'm going to be a huge success or a complete failure based on like the next week or so.
What's the funniest thing you can remember, like, that still kind of sticks with you?
Funniest thing I can remember.
Just now.
Wow, when you put me on the spot like that.
Oh shit. There's a lot.
You know when like someone puts you on the spot and everything you've ever done or heard of flies out of your brain?
The funniest stuff I remember, which isn't really that funny to me anymore, but I used to watch Adam Sandler movies when I was really young.
That vine of Yoda where he's like rocking, and one time I saw it, I just remember like laughing so uncontrollably hard.
Watching that stuff like when I was super young, my uncles, it was always with my uncles. Like, I don't know, they were the kind of people that would rewind it and watch it again back when they were like VHS tapes and stuff like that. And I remember we just die laughing.
Yeah, Guy Heaven. Sam Hyde talking about the gym he's at in Guy Heaven, and him talking about how he wants to create a gym that's guys only, called Guy Heaven, and it's fucking brilliant cinema.
I think that was probably the funniest thing you can like remember.
Okay.
How do you feel now that you thought about that thing?
Yeah, I'm happier. I'd say.
I'm more like laughing.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes me just really happy. Like, I don't know, like just unexpectedly happy, if that makes any sense. There's comfort in that. I almost feel warm in a sense.
Worse, actually, because I don't find it as funny at the moment.
Do you think people need to laugh, and why? If so or not?
Yeah, I
definitely.
think people need to laugh. I think
It's one of like it's just like so effortless. It's like one of like the easiest ways to feel good.
Like to this day, it makes me smile just thinking about that stuff, but not particularly like watching those movies again. Because I've seen them like millions of times, but like when I think about those memories, I think I smile and I laugh more now than I do when I watch those movies, you know, just by myself.
Although sometimes when I'm like not in a good mood, I like don't find things funny.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think is one of the key factors of being able to come up with funny stuff real quick?
Okay. Well, one thing that I think goes into a part of making people laugh as often as we do is rather than being quick-witted, we try to just, comedy's relatable, about being relatable, thinking about what just a regular person might think or do or say in a certain situation.
A lot of the comedy actually just comes from focusing on a relationship between two people.
Basically, we say a lot that anyone can do improv because while some people think that you have to be witty or quick or funny, we really just train the part of our brain that reacts. Everyone has that ability to react, and that
Right.
we just train it like someone sprinting would train by running.
What I usually tell people is that like a lot of what we do in our lives are improv. Like this interview that we're doing right now is improv. It's like we haven't planned our responses really.
You don't plan what you say to people every day.
Would you say that like being able to connect with someone personally plays a huge part like into being a comedian?
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
For sure.
I'm really into stand-up, and so comedians like Bill Burr, Louis C.K., that's why they have such a conversational style of speaking, is because they make their acts just talking to people. That's why they're so successful.
A lot of the big laughs that we get aren't because we came up with the most clever joke. It's because it's just something that everyone's experienced.
Have you ever had a time in your act where you end up like in a dead spot, like someone in the audience is just genuinely like not okay with what you said?
Can you think of an example?
When Brooke rolled under your crotch.
Oh, she really? Well, wasn't that
She-
specifically for that? Wasn't that a naughty show?
No, that wasn't.
All right, you talk because I don't wait.
There's one instance that I remember. Yeah, we have a show called The Naughty Show.
At the end of the quarter, we do a naughty show where we allow ourselves to curse and we allow ourselves to do things that are maybe a little bit more risque.
Like sexual suggestions, we usually pocket those and let them out for the Naughty Show.
And people will throw out like really like almost like offensive and like terrible suggestions like incest and things like that.
There was one instance I remember for a show that wasn't that, where one of our female improvisers was doing a scene with Ryan, and she like reached under his like crotch and like started like rubbing like
Yeah,
meat.
well, yeah.
It was very bizarre, and I feel like half of the audience was like, "This is hilarious," and the other half was like, "I am very like uncomfortable with what is happening."
We're very lucky to have the crowd that we have, and we definitely don't want to alienate anybody, which is actually why we do all of our shows are PG. So we don't curse, or we try not to, and we try to stay away from like really upsetting or aggressive topics.
We put a sort of a rule on ourselves in our acts to be a little more family friendly and a little less just blatantly vulgar, as you might find in other college improv teams. Not that that stuff doesn't have a time and place. It's just sometimes it's a little easier to curse or talk about something like sexual or offensive and get an easy laugh than really making, I don't know, a scene about a relationship that's important or something.
That's that sort of self-imposed rule of like trying to stay family friendly or trying to stray away from, I guess what we like call low-hanging fruit, is because it's just like sort of challenge us to try and make more like grounded or relatable like scenes or jokes. I think that like it is easier to like get laughs or to make a quick joke if you let yourself be open to like profanity or like making sexual jokes. But I feel like that also comes at the expense of like some audience members may not be completely on board with what's going on stage. And because we're so big on like inclusivity and like how our audience is feeling, because a lot of our show is like driven on our audience reactions, we want to make sure that like everyone's feeling good and everyone's like on the same page.
Yeah, people, I think we don't give people enough credit. Like, people will always laugh when you curse or when you say something.
I honestly think that's harder sometimes to make people like everyone laugh at
Yeah,
than something just, relatable.
yeah.
What about in the sense of like when things are a lot more topical? What about when something is much more like in the moment, like when you're tackling some kind of subject which is affecting a lot of people? Do you ever feel like as a comedian you either need to make the choice to take a side or kind of just like satirize everybody? Or do you always just kind of keep it within that PG range?
I think we usually try to keep within PG. So like the example that I'm thinking of is like we were obviously doing shows during the election, and like it was just best to just stay away from it because, like I said, we don't want to alienate our audiences because yeah, we're artists and yeah, we're here to improvise, but we're also here to put on a show, and we're very aware of the fact that that's our purpose here, is to put on a show. So we're not trying to create controversy, we're not trying to make a statement, we're always here for our audience, not for us. Like I kind of said earlier, like I think comedy is like very cathartic, and so I think without comedy, like we would be in a very tough position as a society. I think it's pretty natural to want to be funny, pretty natural to try and make each other laugh, because that's the whole point of life, is to exist and coexist. So I think that without it, like we would have a lot of pent-up feelings, because anger really only lets out so much. I feel that anger is such an alienating emotion, whereas the need to feel like loved and admired is inherent in comedy, is something that can only be attained through that kind of cathartic release of laughter. So that's kind of my highfalutin way of saying that comedy is super important. For me, I don't know, I don't feel like I have so much anger in my life, but maybe that's just because I have so much comedy in my life that maybe it's like I've found more productive ways to release it. But I would say that yes, tonight what we did was very comedic, but improv itself is not inherently comedic. It doesn't have to be. There's dramatic improv, and I've done it several times, and it's been very cathartic as well to release like sad emotions or frustrated emotions. So I would say that, comedy is the same kind of feeling of release of anger, except it's done more constructively and positively.